I prayed that he would burn in hell. But in my heart, I knew that hell would not have him.
Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me on this penultimate episode of The Horror of 1980. Another kind of week of debating what should be allowed and, you know, votes and things like that. It was interesting because, let me just move my camera in a bit closer here. There we go. There's a little fuzz at the bottom there. The Burbs, that was the one. That was the big question all week. And also some people were asking, you know, why not Toxic Avenger 2 and 3? Toxic Avenger 2 is enough. That's enough for this vote. Possibly. And we've got to get through this, folks. We have to get through this because the final's next week and we need those 2 extra spaces filling up for the final. But it is possibly the worst year of the 80s. As someone said to me during the week, the big 3 laid an egg, which I thought was very apt. Friday, Elm Street, and Halloween all delivered duds during 1989. It's quite remarkable that all 3 of them were quite as... I know we have fans of them out there. And I know they're all 3 of them are watchable and we can have fun with them. But they are possibly some of the weakest entries in the whole series, you know, of their respective franchises. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out on top because I can't call it at the moment. I really can't call it. I look at what we've got to vote and... you know, there are some solid films in there. You know, I loved Shocker when it first came out. I also loved House 3 as well. Society was good. Society is a film that I've kind of got used to over time. I've enjoyed it more as I've got older. The Fly 2, I think, is a decent sequel. It's okay. But then you have things like I said, Toxic Avenger 2, Sleepaway Camp 3, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3... what else have we got in there? Oh, and a couple of aquatic movies as well. So we have Leviathan, Deep Star 6. It was kind of a year for aquatic movies because we also had The Abyss that came out sort of sandwiched in between these movies as well. So I honestly can't call it. I really can't. I think it's going to be a lot of mid-tier stuff. I don't think we're going to get much in the first tier at all. Remember, folks, if you haven't seen any of these movies, please don't vote. And if you don't agree that something should be in this vote, please don't vote for it. Don't vote it down because you don't agree with it being in the tier, because that kind of throws things out as well. However, we do have The Burbs, which was a movie that we talked about all week and people voted on. I had an Instagram vote going on. I also had a YouTube members vote as well that went out, and they were both very similar. I think it ended up being like 75-25 on Instagram and very similar, give or take a percentage or two on YouTube as well. Most people were like, look, if you had Beetlejuice in there, you've got to have The Burbs in there as well. And The Burbs is is absolutely a horror film, a lot of people were saying. So I felt it right that it was allowed in here. A lot of people watching the Burbs now might not, for the first time, might not agree with that sentiment. And I admit, I came to the Burbs late. I came to the Burbs just a couple of years ago, and I was staggered about, one, how good it was, and two, what genre does it fit into? It's quite unique. I don't think there's any other movie out there like the Burbs. And for that, I really loved it. I really did. But let's see who's in the chat. Let's see who's in the chat here and who's going to join us for the vote. We've got 66 of you here at the moment. Hopefully a few more will roll in. We'll get to the vote shortly, but we have Tony Randall. Tony, I think it's your birthday. Am I right in thinking that? I just said happy birthday to you in the chat there, but happy birthday to you, and thank you for joining us on your birthday. It's really appreciated. Duke's here, Wraith's here, Adam Stevens is here, Tony Four Eyes, Don Mack, Myers fan. Hey, Andrew, how you doing, buddy? Brandon's here, Jordan Moran. Good to see you, Jordan. I thought you, I didn't think you joined these late ones. I thought you caught them the next morning. Thank you for joining us. Marisol. Hey, Marisol. Good to see you. Eli Cortez, Tony Four Eyes, Mikey Van B. Who else have we got? Kingslayer's here. Gory Tiger's here. Hey, Gory. Who else? And Pat's here as well. Good to see you, Pat. Been watching your Halloween hangover stream this week. Really enjoyed that. Thank you for putting that out there. And my Chucky Jordan is here as well. Don't forget to send the like button some love, people, please. Yeah, 73 of you here. If you could hit the like button, that would be really cool. I think I saw Zara in there earlier as well. Hey, Zara. She said Frankenstein is possibly her film of the year. I'm going to watch it tomorrow night. I can't wait. I've seen some was it Critical Drinker or Chris Stuckman? I can't remember now, who said that it's an absolute masterpiece and deserves to be seen on the big screen. Well, I won't see it on the big screen, unfortunately. I'll probably watch it at home this weekend. But yeah, definitely a film I'm looking forward to. Scores on Rotten Tomatoes for Frankenstein. I think the audience scores like 95% from the limited cinema run that it's had. And I think the critics are in the high 80s as well. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to this weekend. Andrew says, hanging out my ass, but the laughs will get me through. Oh, really? Was that a night out or something? Or a day out today, maybe? Tony Randall says, double Tony, double the sarcastic Gen X. Okay. Thank God Traitors has finished. I couldn't get into this Celebrity Traitors. Who gives a shit, honestly? And apparently it leaked online overnight because is there like a Canadian... there's a Canadian streaming service. Is it called Crave or something like that? And they put it up there by accident last night, a day early. And so all these people that are UK based that are managed to watch it and then just sang about it on social media about who had won. So I feel sorry for them for that, but I couldn't give a shit. Really couldn't give a shit. I do like the Traitors, but the Celebrity one did nothing for me. Every reviewer is calling the new Frankenstein a masterpiece, says Don Rack. Some of your comments, I want it to be Loomis. Ha 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 ha. I want it to be Loomis? I want to be Loomis? Or you do? Okay. Brandon says, Darren, how's your leg? My leg is not great. It's okay. I'm managing. And yeah, it's going to take a little while to get better, I think. Kingslayer says, Darren, are you looking forward to Gremlins 3? Yeah, why not? Why not? As long as I stick in the lane with it, I think it'll be fun. And I trust Chris Columbus completely. And I hadn't realized he wrote the original until I read the Variety report today. Because they said Chris Columbus returns to direct Gremlins 3. And it was like, hang on a minute. Chris Columbus never directed Gremlins in the first place. And then when you read into it, it's all about Chris Columbus had written and produced the original, and so that's why he's coming back. Tony Forrest says, you're dragging this injury out, Darren. No, I'm 52 now. I'm 52 in 2 weeks' time, so it's going to take a while for my knee to get better, I think. Del Toro needs to do all the Universal monsters. Yeah, that would be interesting if he'd have a go at that. I found it hard to believe that Pan's Labyrinth is going to celebrate its 20th anniversary pretty soon. That's mental. I remember going to a Q&A with Guillermo del Toro on that one, which was fantastic. Don Max says, I wish Joe Dante was involved. Yeah, I don't think he's directed for a little while now, has he? But it would have been cool. It would have been cool. Maybe he'll be involved maybe he'll be a producer on it or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, let's take a look at at 1989 and some of the things that were going on around 1989. First off, and we do this every week, folks, just to kind of get you into that sort of mindset of the late 80s and before we start voting on these films, just to give you a few sort of pop culture nuggets of information that you might find in your pocket now and again. Batman dominates the box office. Tim Burton's Batman shattered records and redefined the superhero genre. Michael Keaton's silenced critics. Jack Nicholson's Joker stole the show, and Batmania swept the globe. Do you remember at the time? And I do remember Goober Peters being interviewed and saying that initially they'd chosen Bill Murray to play Batman. Can you imagine his sort of face in that cowl? Sort of, I don't know if it would have looked right. I don't know, but interesting choice. The Berlin Wall falls. In November 1989, the Berlin Wall came down after nearly 30 years, marking the symbolic end of the Cold War and one of those most defining moments of the 20th century. Nintendo introduces the Game Boy. I never got a Game Boy. I don't know why. I just never ended up having one. Portable gaming went mainstream as Nintendo launched the Game Boy bundled with Tetris, and it became a cultural phenomenon. What else have we got here? The Simpsons get their own show. The Simpsons have come up a few times on this over the last 10 weeks. After debuting as shorts on the Tracy Ullman Show, The Simpsons premiered its standalone series in December 1989, the start of TV history's longest-running sitcom. And Seinfeld premieres as well, sort of. Originally called The Seinfeld Chronicles, the show debuted its pilot in 1989, and few expected it to become one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. The world falls for When Harry Met Sally. Rob Reiner's romantic comedy redefined the genre and made I'll Have What She's Having one of the most iconic movie lines ever, and I think they redid it earlier this year during the Super Bowl, or was that last year? Yeah, they sort of redid the advert with, what's the actress called? I can't remember her name. She showed up in the restaurant anyway. The woman who had a picture taken with Jamie Lee Curtis and set tongues wagging last week. Bon Jovi again? This is for you, Marisol. Bon Jovi and Motley Crue rule rock. Arena rock at its peak with Bon Jovi's New Jersey tour and Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood dominating charts and stadiums alike. And MTV also unleashes Unplugged. MTV launched Unplugged, bringing acoustic performances with huge artists, paving the way for iconic sets by Nirvana, Eric Clapton, and more to come in the years ahead. I always remember one of my favorite bands of all time doing MTV Unplugged, and that was Queensryche. And yeah, it was great. And they absolutely went for a shite as a band after that. The World Wide Web is invented. British scientist Tim Berners-Lee created the first prototype of the World Wide Web, though nobody realized yet how it would change everything. And then there was farewell to a few icons as well. 1989 saw the passing of several major cultural figures, including Lucille Ball, the beloved I Love Lucy star. She died aged 77. Bette Davis, legendary actress of Hollywood's golden age, died at 81. And Laurence Olivier, one of cinema's greatest actors, died aged 82. So that's all the little pop culture facts that I've got for you this week, folks. We can now move over to this screen here, and you will see that 976 Evil, directed by Robert Englund, is our first film to vote on today. Let me just get my notes in order here. God, it's been a long week, a really long week. I'm so looking forward to this weekend. Just be able to relax. I've got a few bits of content I want to record as well. And I've got some planning to do for the new show, which starts in 2 weeks' time. Awesome 50 says, Queensryche fan here, Darren. Yeah, love everything of theirs up until around about probably maybe 2000, I guess. Okay, so 976 Evil. Let me just put the link back into the chat so everybody can join. We've currently got 29 of you signed up ready to vote. There's 81 of you in the chat at the moment. which is fantastic. Folks, if you haven't liked the stream, please do that for me. That would be really cool, would really help. And also, if you haven't subbed, consider it. It really would help the channel. Okay, 90 seconds to vote on 976 Evil. The clock again this week, folks, isn't working. It's a bug on Tier Maker. So I'll try and keep an eye on it as best as I can, like I did last week. But for whatever reason, the clock's not been counting down for the last 2 weeks. But let's kick it off anyway. You're now voting on 976 Evil. 90 seconds to go. Released on March the 22nd, 1989. Dad says, love the body double music. I'm doing the dance. It's a take on the body double music, a royalty-free version of the body double music. I love this music. It really gets me in the space for this stream. Before I go live, I play it loud in the room just to chill myself out. And I just love this piece of music. It's such a find. So released on March the 22nd, 1989. A budget of 2 million, went on to gross around about 3 million at the box office. Critics' score of just 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, with an audience score of 28%. I'm just going to refresh the page so we can see where we are. 41 seconds remaining, folks. Directed by Robert Englund, his feature directorial debut. Stephen Jeffries, Patrick O'Brien, Sandy Dennis, Maria Rubel, and Jim Metzler. Two cousins, bad boy biker Spike and bullied nerd Hoax, stumble onto a premium rate horoscope phone line. Spike quickly loses interest, but Hoax become obsessed. The line is actually a conduit to Satan, who grants Hoax demonic powers to take revenge on his tormentors. 24 seconds left, folks. It's 24 seconds. Wow, this is counting down slow. Englund behind the camera. This is Robert Englund's first time directing a feature. There we go. The vote is over on 976 Evil, and it finishes in 4th place. Nobody voted it in 1st. 5 of you voted it in 2nd. 4 of you in 3rd. 7 of you in 4th. And 5 of you voted it in 5th. So it finishes in 4th place. I wonder if that's good enough to win. with the type of trash that we're voting on this week, it may well be. Who knows? Let's see what the chat's saying. Okay, Don Mac says, I was on the internet in 89 before the World Wide Web was created. The internet before then was all text, no graphics. Don Mac says, did you work with Professor Falcon? Don Mac. 976 was utter crap, says Tony Four Eyes. Englund cashing in on Freddy. And Tony Randall says, living on Canadian base, the video store at Canex was heaven. 976 Evil was about average as far as I remember. Rented it on video back in 1989. Was it Englund's only directing gig? I can't remember. He must have done something else. I could imagine that he probably maybe directed one of those Freddy's Nightmares or something like that. He must have done something. Super chat comes in from Richard. Hell won't have him, but this vote will. Yeah, I have a feeling that Halloween 5 might do quite well in this. I'm not saying it'll be in the top tier, but I think it might do quite well. Wordy Word says, we had our first satellite dish in 89. It was square-shaped, called a Marco Polo dish. You know what? We had a square reel as well. B-Sky B, it was. British Satellite Broadcasting. And I think they had like 5 channels on it. And then eventually it was so crap that Sky just hoovered them up, and then you ended up having to have Sky Television anyway. But it was a lot more kind of respectful looking on the side of the house than the usual sort of dustbin lid thing. This was more like a little tea tray, little square thing that went on the side. But yeah, bloody hell, that's a while ago. I think it was 90 when that was launched. Okay, let's start the next vote. It was Toxic Avenger 2. So here we go, folks. Toxic Avenger 2 is the next one. You got 85 seconds left. I've seen this. I cannot remember it, and I wasn't going to watch it for this stream. But I did get a few little notes on it. It was released on February the 24th, 1989. I think 2 and 3 were back-to-back, and so people wanted me to kind of involve both of them in there. But I think, you know, there's enough crap in this without having 2 Toxic Avenger films. 2.5 million, but they spent 2.5 million on this? Excuse me. At 792,000 at the box office, a critic score of 44% and an audience score of 45%. Michael Hertz and Lloyd Kaufman directed it. Cast of Ron Fazio, Phoebe Legera, Rick Collins, Michael J. White, really? Tromaville's deformed superhero travels to Japan to find his father and battle the evil Apocalypse Corporation. Filmed simultaneously with Part 3, The Last Temptation of Toxie. Two actors shared the Toxie role after an on-set disagreements. Shot partly in Tokyo and New Jersey. It includes one of the earliest appearances of Michael J. White, and it's typical of Trauma, cheap, gory, and cheerfully offensive. A true cult sequel. Let me see where we are with this. We've got 23 seconds left to vote on Toxic Avenger 2. It's sitting firmly at the bottom at the moment. I'm going to put the link in there again for those of you that want to join and vote. 77 of you still here. Thank you so much, folks. And the vote is over. The vote is over. And it's beaten 976 Evil. So nobody voted it in first place. 2 of you in second, 1 in third, 4 in 8, and 4 and 8 in fifth. And it's just, I guess, the law of averages and that there have put it in first place in the 4th tier. Interesting. Okay, let's go to the chat. Was it ever released over here, says Nigel Blood. That's a good question. I did see it. I mean, I think it has done eventually. I remember seeing the VHS for the original Toxic Avenger because it had one of those sort of 3D embossed covers, if you remember. There were a few movies around in the sort of late 80s that had those, mid to late 80s. Robert Englund directed one other film like 20 years later, says Rick. Never seen this despite being in every Eureka sale, abstaining, says Jordan. I'd leave it that way, Jordan. Was delighted Englund got his Hollywood star. Yeah, that was fun. It was good that Miko Hughes was with him as well, which was interesting because he had this haircut which he had done at for the Love of Horror, and Dave and I were chatting to him, and he was paranoid about this haircut. I think he thought it might affect his chances with the ladies that evening, so he was sort of getting a bit paranoid about it. But good to see Robert Englund getting his star. Kingslayer says, I like the new Toxic Avenger with Peter Dinklage more than the original. I haven't seen it yet. I am going to rent it. I was thinking about buying it on Blu-ray, on 4K, and I just thought, you know what? If I hate this, it's going to be a right waste. So I think I might rent it first, take a look at it. If I like it, maybe I'll buy it. Absolute shite, says Andrew. Thank you. You're such a poet, Andrew. Toxie 2 was rubbish, to be honest. I remember falling asleep watching it on VHS. Toxie 2 is really offensive to Japanese, but funny. Don Mac Citizen Toxie is an experience. And the Battle of the Less Shite, says Tony Four Eyes. You're right there. I'm not reading that out, Myers fan. I want to see all the Toxies before seeing the new one, so I need to check out number 4. Colin, good to see you, buddy. I'll put the link in there so you can join in the vote if you want. But thank you for dropping those episodes this week on The Fog and They Live and the Halloween ones you did. I really enjoyed watching them. Right, let's kick off the next vote. Oh, super chat, 1 second. Would love to have seen After Midnight in here. Yeah, someone else mentioned After Midnight as well, but it's there's only 20 that I can put in. Every now and again, I'll allow an extra one in, but I hadn't seen After Midnight, so I couldn't really stick it in, not knowing anything about it. So okay, let's kick off the next vote, and we are with The Fly 2. You've 79 seconds to vote on The Fly 2. I remember going to the cinema to see this. I thought it was okay. I think there's some really cool effects moments in it. Directed by Chris Walas, who did all the effects work on the original Fly. February the 10th, 1989. A budget of 15 million. A box office of 38.9 million. A critic score of just 31% and an audience score of 33%. Eric Stoltz, Daphne Zuniga, Lee Richardson, John Getz. The son of Seth Brundle grows up in a corporate lab, inheriting his father's tragic mutant DNA and slowly transforming into something inhuman. Chris Walas, Oscar-winning FX artist from The Fly, made his directorial debut. Jeff Goldblum appears briefly via archival footage. The production used over 40 pounds of prosthetics daily on Eric Stoltz. Filmed in Vancouver on the 20th Century Fox sound stages, and despite mixed reviews, it was a moderate commercial success and spawned comic book spin-offs. 13 seconds left, folks. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the vote is off. Second place. 4 of you voted it in first place, 12 of you in second, 6 of you in third, 1 in fourth, and 4 in fifth. This could be a contender. Who knows? This could be a contender. Second tier may well be the tier that does it tonight. May well be the two qualifiers could be in the second tier, because I honestly wouldn't rank maybe one film in this list, maybe a push. The Burbs or Pet Sematary, I would put in the top tier, maybe. But you put those two movies against some of the other movies that have qualified, and it wouldn't belong in that first tier. Okay, thank you again, Richard, for sending in Super Chat. Some pretty gnarly effects in this one, says Reese. Good to see you, Reese. I haven't seen you for a little while. Yeah, I seem to remember like someone's head getting crushed in like some hydraulic or a lift or an elevator or something like that. Physical Media Lives. Hey, is that Alan? Good to see you, Alan. The Fly 2 is very underrated, in my opinion. Nothing like as bad as some people make out. Wraith says if John Wick saw what they did to the dog in Fly 2, there would be blood. Absolutely, yeah. Nothing will stand in Shocker's way, says Jordan Moran. We'll get onto that in a bit, Jordan. The Fly 2 was okay. I prefer the remake more than 2, says Chester. The remake, you mean the first, the Fly 1? Yeah, the remake. Yeah, of course, yeah. For a cash grab sequel, it's decent, says Don Mac. Halloween 5 is winning, says Brandon. We'll see. None of these films are going to win the final. Yeah, we are just going through the motions to make up numbers, Tony, on this. I've been convinced of that ever since I took a look at 1989 last Thursday. I just thought, ooh. And even on Instagram, people were like, yeah, this is just shit, Darren. This is shit. And it is, to be fair. Any film in the first tier will probably get into the final, says Darren. Jason Takes Manhattan will win I hope it doesn't. That bloody film and I have got a really torrid relationship. The dog scene is sad, says Mr. Bright Eyes. Yeah, I agree with you. It is. It is. Okay, let's kick off the next vote. And I think it's the Burbs. Let's have a look. Yes, the Burbs. 88 seconds left to vote on the Burbs, folks. Let's see how this does. Currently, the Burbs. I was right at the start in my list here. 1 second. The Burbs, released on Feb 17, 1989, obviously directed by Joe Dante. A budget of 18 million and a box office of 49.1 million worldwide. No Rotten Tomato scores on this one, but Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, Corey Feldman, etc. A suburban homeowner Hanks enjoys a week of staycation only to become convinced his new neighbors are part of a murderous cult. As strange events escalate, the neighborhood's paranoia and antics take over. Although primarily a dark comedy with horror elements, it's often included in cult horror discussions thanks to its eerie suburban tone. Well, that kind of, qualifies it for me. I'm happy with that. The film opened at number 1 with 11.1 million in its first weekend, and it has grown in status to a cult classic among 80s genre fans. Tom Hanks was not the first casting choice. Initial plans had a different actor attached, and despite mixed reviews at release, its offbeat tone and 80s suburban aesthetic resonate with fans today. How much time we got left? We have 10 seconds left, folks. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the Burbs is in first place on the first tier. 25 of you voted it in first place, 9 in second, 1 in third, and nobody voted it in fourth or fifth. Interesting. Tony Four Eyes says, we have to vote Jason top tier just for Darren. Yeah, that damn movie. Straight to the top of the for the Burbs, and rightly so, says Paul. The Burbs is absolute top tier. Probably the best one on this list. Dante at his finest. Says Awesome 50. Andrew says the Burbs is a classic bridge for anyone into the horror genre. It's just solid in every department. Top tier for me. Mr. Bright Eye says the Burbs. Thank you. Rick says the Burbs is top tier for me, and it seems to get funnier with each viewing. It's basically horror comedy, says Don Mack. There's a lot more comedy than horror, but the Burbs is a top tier movie regardless of genre. And it's good to see that nobody voted it in fourth or fifth, because I was worried about that, because there was a lot of people that wouldn't accept that it was a horror, or that it deserved to be in this vote. So thank you for not, sabotaging it, if you like. Physical Media Lives. Alan says 1989 was the year I started drinking professionally. This stream of 1989 is reminding of why that happened. Drinking professionally, I like it. Easily goes to the top for me, says Reese. Have you seen the alternate ending where it turns out the Klopeks were indeed innocent? Oh, really? I didn't see that. No. Like my relationship with the Burbs is quite young. Like I say, I only saw it for the first time about 2 years ago. Frank and I did an episode. It was one of those films. Everybody's got one of those movies that they've never seen. And it's always been like Frank and I have talked about doing an episode on movies that we're embarrassed to say we haven't seen. And maybe we'll do that at some stage. Who knows? Nigel says, Darren still wakes up in a cold sweat when thinking about Jason Takes Manhattan. You're right. I do. That was a lot of money back then. The Burbs would easily make my top 5 favorite movies, says Matt. It's such a comfort watch. And Tony Four Eye says it wasn't hard for it to get into the top tier given the competition. I agree. Okay, let's see what's next. It is The Stepfather 2. How many of you have seen The Stepfather 2? Stepfather did quite well the other week, actually. I think, was it 86, the original Stepfather? So The Stepfather 2 was released on November the 3rd, 1989. Stepfather 2, subtitled Make Room for Daddy. That sounds horrible. A film would never be called that these days. A budget of $2.5 million for a box office of $1.5 million. Rotten Tomatoes score of 19%, 31% audience score. Directed by Jeff Burr. Terry O'Quinn, Meg Foster, Jonathan Brandis, Caroline Williams was in this as well. Okay, fair enough. Escaped from an asylum, the stepfather finds a new suburban identity and new family until his deadly perfectionism resurfaces. O'Quinn returns as the chilling button-down killer, filmed in Los Angeles in just 24 days. Director Jeff Burr of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 shot it in between studio gigs, cut by the MPAA for excessive violence before release, and critics panned it, but O'Quinn was still praised for his performance. And we're in the second tier at the moment, folks. Second place in second tier. So at the moment, it hasn't got a chance of going through. Good to see 60 of you have registered to vote. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so Stepfather finishes second place in second tier, with 2 of you voting it in the top, for the top tier. 11 of you voted it in second place, 5 in third, 2 in fourth, and 5 in fifth. I've seen this. I can't remember it. I saw it the once. I really like the original Stepfather, but this one, step too far, I think. Don Mack says, I predict the Burbs and Pet Sematary will move on to the final round where they will both lose. This was right at the end of Feldman's window, says Brandon. They will probably remake the Burbs in a few years. I don't know if would a movie like the Burbs work today? Would it? It's a kind of curious mix. I'm not sure whether that sort of thing would work today, but interesting. Stepfather 2 is a solid sequel. Good evening, Justin. Good to see you, buddy. Terry O'Quinn is always good value. He was. I liked him as that character in Lost. I thought he was great in that. I'm planning on watching Stepfather 1 and 2 tomorrow, says Jordan. Nice one. Stepfather 2 was more fun and brutal than the first. Yeah, I like I say, I've seen it. I can't really remember it though. And if it was butchered in the US, it would have been butchered over here as well, I would have thought. Stepfather 2 is good fun. Terry O'Quinn is fantastic. Make Room for Daddy. Cringe, says Marisol. Yeah, that really... I don't remember it being called that in the UK. Yeah. Sarah says certain films would be called that these days, but you have to provide proof of age before watching. Have you got one of those IDs now, Zara? Why is Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town not on the list? Come on, do me a favor. There's enough shite in here as it is, Alan. Reese says, I don't think it would work today. The world's changed too much. Yes, I agree with you. I agree. I think it's best left, the Burbs. I do. Okay, let's kick off the next vote. What have we got? Society. Great movie. So where would you put Society, folks? 90 seconds to tell us. I'm just going to put the link in the chat again. There you go. For those of you that are just joining the stream, 74 of you here at the moment. Thank you very much. May 13th, 1989 was the release in France. It was released in France. I think it took a few years to get to other markets like the US. It wasn't released until 1992, but it was released in Europe in 1989. That's why it qualifies for the horror. We had to have something of some, you know, something reasonably decent in here. Budget of $2 million, a limited art house run, earned it 350,000 estimated. The critics gave it 64%. Audiences gave it 50%. Brian Yuzna, as we all know, directed it. And Billy Warlock, Connie Danese, Ben Mayerson, Devin DeVasquez, a Beverly Hills teen suspects his wealthy family belongs to an elite cult of shape-shifting beings who literally consume the lower classes. Yuzna's directorial debut after producing Reanimator, famous for the grotesque shunting finale, surreal, slimy, and unforgettable. It premiered in Europe 3 years before its US release, and special effects by Screaming Mad George and from A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Let me just see where we are on the... Oh, 6 seconds left to vote. There we go. The vote is over on Society, and it currently sits in second place in the first tier. 12 of you voted it in first place, 1 in second, 5 in third, 2 in fourth, and 1 in fifth. You know I have. If Jason Takes Manhattan ends up in the top, Darren will have PTSD flashbacks to 1989. I know. I mean, for those of you who don't know the story, and I've told it loads of times, I saved up all my paper and milk round money and went to a like a corner shop where they sold VHSs, where they rented VHSs. And back then, they would be a retail price of around about $79.99, $89.99 to buy that rental copy. And I think this would have been about 1991 or something like that. And it came out on VHS, and I hadn't seen it. And I made the guy an offer and bought it off him. Got it home. It was absolute junk. And I tried to take it back, and the guy wasn't having any of it at all. He was just like, no chance. So I ended up with this VHS rental copy of Jason Takes Manhattan, which I absolutely loathed, and I could have cried back then, but I didn't, and ended up selling it for around about £3 to Music Magpie or something. Okay. Society is one good but odd film, says the Wraith. Society is genuinely one of the best cinema experience of my life, says Awesome50. The gasps and reaction from the audience never stopped. Love this crazy movie. Society is a great movie, says Andrew. Tier 1 for me. The effects are bonkers, and the substance couldn't wipe its arse. There's a lot of influence in the substance from Society, I think. Certainly is. Society is a unique movie. Something 89 was strong in unique movie. Something 89 wasn't strong in, I think you mean to say. My Chunky Geordie says, don't you have to look 25 over here to buy 18 stuff now with that Think 25 crap? You have, I don't know. I'm told you have to have an ID online now if you're going to look at something a bit smutty. I'm told. I wonder if Mike Judge got the name for Butthead from this film, says Daz. Possibly. Alan sends in €10. Thank you so much, sir. I'm over on the 27th in Dublin. I'm not sure how much time I will have, but I will be in Dublin City Centre on the 27th. He says, thanks for taking the time to support and encourage me on the new channel. Having a blast with it so far. Yeah, I've been watching and enjoying your stuff. So keep it up, buddy. Keep it up. Just keep being you. Movie Chat and More says, you keep a horse in the basement. I just saw this recently through Joe Bob Briggs. What, Society? Cool. I'm told, Pinocchio. The sales in the UK of VPNs have skyrocketed over the last few months. But also, I did see a little Lad Bible post the other day where they said that Pornhub had reported a drop in something like 78% in UK business over the last, was it 6 months now? They've blocked all the filth in this country. My favorite was the day that they did that was a tweet that I saw from somebody that said, Starmer's bloody brilliant. But sorry, Starmer's bloody Britain can't even have a tug these days. Anyway, Ray says, I can imagine the shop owner laughing in the background as Darren walked off. He was killing himself laughing, counting all those fivers that I'd given him. And Simon says, just read online that a remake of the 1989 movie The Burbs is in development as a series for Peacock. Oh, God. Starring Keke Palmer. Do you like Keke Palmer? And produced by Seth MacFarlane. Oh, good God. Yeah, John Carpenter. All he said was he didn't like the film. He didn't say why. And everybody lost their shit. Society is awesome, says hey, Johnny, good to see you. And Brandon Collins says, Daz, lol. Okay, let's move on. Let's do this next vote. And it is, what have we got? Sleepaway Camp 3. 83 seconds left to vote, folks, on Sleepaway Camp 3. Teenage Wasteland. February the 9th, 1989. Budget of 465,000. Box office, obviously it went straight to video, so there's no box office. A critic score of 8%. And a Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 28%. Directed by Michael A. Simpson, Pamela Springsteen, Tracy Griffith, Mark Oliver, and Michael J. Pollard. Angela Baker returns to Camp New Horizons posing as a camper and embarks on another tongue-in-cheek killing spree. Shot back-to-back with Sleepaway Camp 2 in Georgia, Pamela Springsteen reprises Angela, adding morbid humor and loosely inspired by Born to Be Wild and The Who's song Teenage Wasteland. Who didn't release a song called Teenage Wasteland? That's bullshit. The song is called Baba O'Reilly. Rushed out for the booming VHS rental market. Banned or cut in several countries due to its graphic gore. I don't remember it being that graphic. 14 seconds left to vote, folks. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vote is over. Okay, so Sleepaway Camp. 3 of you voted it in first place. Are you kidding? Really? One of you in second, 9 in third, 5 in fourth, and 5 in fifth. So we are first place in third tier with Sleepaway Camp 3. Doesn't mean anything, though, because it's all about the Burbs and society at the moment. Let's see what you guys thought of Sleepaway Camp. No comments on Sleepaway Camp, really. Sleepaway Camp 3 is fine, says Kingslayer, but I think they used all the budget on 2 since they were shot back-to-back. Probably. I mean, come on. They're such poorly made films, aren't they? Sleepaway Camp 3 made me like Sleepaway Camp 2 less. In fact, I think I showed these last week. I've got both of them here. I don't think I'll be watching those again. I think it was enough when we did those episodes. Brandon says, I love the substance, but if there's a small gripe, it's that there are too many on-the-nose homages to other people's films. Yeah, I know what you mean, but come on. Like, it was a pleasure to see it. Even though they were on the nose, it was great to sit in a theatre, not knowing what this, because that trailer was so ambiguous. Going in there and seeing all your favourite horror movies upon that screen, I thought was just great fun. It really was. Chester says Sleepaway Camp 3 should have been a lot better, just my opinion. I honestly, really? Should it have been? I mean, they're all pretty naff, aren't they? I honestly don't think I've seen any of these masterpieces. Tony 4I says, stop showing those off, Darren. I've forgotten. Well, I listened, I went to grab them, and then I thought, I did this last week. Fuck it, I'll do it again for those who haven't seen it. This movie has old man Michael Pollard hooking up with a teen, so a solid continuation with the first one. Yeah, that's the guy. Excuse me, that's the tech guy from Tango and Cash, right? He's kind of running around in his Y-fronts in this film. Kingslayer says Darren is proud of his Sleepaway Camp collection. I wouldn't say proud, but, you know, they come in handy if ever we do episodes on these things. Okay. Where are we now? 72 of you still watching. Thank you, folks. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like and subscribe. If you don't, look, I know it's a pain in the ass being asked to subscribe, but only half the people that watch this channel are subscribed. And that blows my mind because you could miss out on, you know, the next episode. So if you don't mind subscribing, it would really help. And I'd appreciate it. Okay, the link's gone in the chat, folks, to vote. And we'll kick off the next vote with... What's the movie? Let me just refresh. Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. Another dud. You know what? I couldn't remember whether I'd seen this or not, so I actually skimmed through it on YouTube the other day. God, it's bad. November the 9th, 1989, a video premiere. Went straight to video, straight to VHS. Critic score of 14%. A budget of $2 million. No way did they spend $2 million on this film. Audience score of 23%. Directed by Monty Hellman, who directed Two Lane Blacktop. Bill Moseley, Samantha Scully, and Robert Culp starred. A comatose killer from Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 awakens and hunts a clairvoyant teen girl on Christmas Eve, guided by visions of her. Directed by art house filmmaker Monty Hellman, whose involvement baffled fans. Bill Moseley, later Otis in The Devil's Rejects, plays Ricky with a visible brain dome. Filmed in just 1 month for a USA Network TV debut and shot entirely in Los Angeles suburbs despite its snowy setting. Critically reviled, it's now a Christmas curiosity for cult collectors. 6 seconds left, folks. 4, 3, 2, 1. The vote is over. And Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 ends up in 5th place. One of you voted it in 1st place. Somebody's out to sabotage this, I'm sure. 2 of you in 2nd, nobody in 3rd, 3 of you in 4th, and 9 of you in 5th. Why would somebody vote this in 1st place? Unless you press the wrong button or you're a total arse and you're trying to sabotage it. It won't make a difference because it's finished in 5th place. And yeah, it's probably going to start. I can't think of anything else. Maybe no. I think this is it. I think Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 will stay in that final position like that. I'm pretty confident of that because we have some decent-ish movies coming up. I promise. Decent mid-level movies, I think. Right, says these picks are like playing a YouTube version of look, you know, we're going through the motions, we have to do this, it's just 2 hours of your time to get 2 of these shitty films into the final next week, and we can have a, you know, and these films, as somebody pointed out in the chat earlier, nothing that wins tonight is gonna win overall. So yeah, and I think what we might do during the week is just have a few votes on what we think might win overall. I'll do something like that during the week in the either in the YouTube community section or in on Instagram, just to see what you guys think, because there are some. We'll have a look at the contestants for next week for the final. There's some great movies, some really great movies. Two Lane Blacktop is a fantastic, my favorite 70s road trip. I've never seen it, to be honest, Don Mac. And Kingslayer says Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 is the worst in the franchise for me. They replaced the guy who was the lead in part 2. Yeah, I gathered that when I was watching it. In fact, I wasn't sure when I was watching it whether it was supposed to be him or not. Halloween 5, Nightmare 5, offensively awful. Still ashamed I paid for tickets. Yeah, so I never saw Halloween 5 in the cinema because it never got, those Halloween fans in the UK will know it never got a cinema release in the UK. Nightmare 5 I did see in the cinema. Jason 8 didn't get a cinema release. We just had to pay a lot of money to watch it on VHS. Have Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, but never seen it due to part 2 being terrible. Abstaining for the first vote ever here. Thank you, Andrew. That's really kind of you. And Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 is technically well made, but frightfully dull, especially considering who the cast and crew are. Tony Vorai says, whichever film finishes bottom this week really is the worst of the worst. Maybe I should look at that. Maybe I should look at which movie did get the worst votes. That might take me a while to go through, but yeah. Rob McGregor says, whoever voted Silent Night 3 at first must be having a laugh or just has shit taste in films. Yeah, one or the other. Every film of 1988 was described as it gained a cult following. Most of 1999 seems to be another dud. Yes, as I said, I can't remember. It may have been Adam Allen, who messaged me and said, you know, the big 3 franchises laid an egg in 1989, which did make me laugh. Alan says, I've really enjoyed revisiting the 80s, Darren. Is doing the 70s a possibility sometime? No, I'm staying in the 80s for the next series. It's going to be based around some of the movies that we've already done. There's going to be a guest involved, and it'll be a completely different format, but it will, to some extent, be interactive. You will get a chance to vote on whether the guest has made, and myself have made the right decision or not. It's going to be a kind of a game, I guess, but based around 80s horror. And I'll tell you more about it next week. But I have 2, maybe 3 guests lined up already. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Honestly, it'll be completely different, but it'll be based around all these movies that we love. And then maybe, Alan, maybe further down the line, I'll take a look at the 70s. But it's going to be difficult to it's going to be a lot. Because the 70s, I was born in the early 70s, but it's not really my period. My period is kind of the 80s. And for me to pull up, look, we've had to vote on 200 movies for this series, 200 horrors from the 80s, when horror was at its absolute peak. Pulling out 270s horror movies is going to be difficult. And it'll be a lot of watch hours for me as well, because I don't think I've seen 200 horror movies from the 70s. Each of these movies makes me want to kick my cat, says Mr. Bright. Don't do that. Don Max says sequels were bad in 89. Standalone movies were good. And John Bates says, these films have made me groan so loudly with disappointment. My neighbors just text me to ask if I'm feeling all right. But you're still here. Thank you, buddy. Sadly, I'm ancient. I know. No, I don't mean that. I know you're ancient, but I appreciate why you're asking. That's what I'm saying. There was some great 70s horrors, though, says Tony Four Eyes. There was, but were there 200? Can you own up to seeing 200 70s horrors? It's tough. It's tough. Okay, let's kick off this next vote. And it is Shocker. 90 seconds to vote on Shocker, folks. A movie I saw on VHS. I didn't see this at the cinema. October 27th, 1989 was its release. A budget of $5 million. A box office of 16.6 million with a critic score of 33% and an audience score of 39%. Really? 39%? I thought it was okay. I liked Shocker. I loved the soundtrack. I had the cassette soundtrack of this with Megadeth on there and bad. What were they called? Bad English? No, was it Bad English? I can't remember now. There was a lot of great tracks on it anyway. Yeah, there was the Megadeth cover of No More Mr. Nice Guy. Mitch Pileggi as Horace Pinker. Peter Berg, who's now a big director. Michael Murphy and Camille Cooper. After a serial killer is executed in the electric chair, his spirit returns via electricity to possess people and wreak havoc on the living until a teen with psychic visions fights back. Wes Craven hoped it would launch a new franchise after Elm Street, and Mitch Pileggi from The X-Files was cast after auditioning shirtless and terrifying Craven. Let me just have a look. 18 seconds left, folks. It's currently in third place in the first tier. Around about 10 seconds left to vote on this one. 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and... let me have a look. Shocker. Let me just refresh it. Make sure it hasn't moved place. Nope. 4 of you voted it in first place. 1 of you in second. 2 in third. Nobody in fourth. And 2 in fifth. Only 9 voted on Shocker. Wow. I thought more people would have voted for Shocker. Interesting. Let me just put the link in the chat again. Did everybody, I guess people abstained, or... still 58 of us here. Okay. Unless it needs refreshing again. Let me just double check. Yeah, 9 voters. Wow. Interesting. Okay. I love Shocker. It becomes a different movie every 15 minutes, says Daz. Andrew says, I like Shocker. Pinker is a really fun character, and it's a nice, fast-paced watch. Great soundtrack. Bad Religion, that was it. Not Bad English. Bad English, a different band altogether. Shocker, not Craven's best, but very entertaining. Mitch Pileggi having a blast. Wasn't big on Shocker. Thought it was silly. This was Craven's attempt at creating a character like Freddy, but retaining the rights to it. He was soured by his deal with New Line. I loved Shocker when it came out and even bought it. Watched it again years later, and it was pretty poor. I must admit, I haven't seen it for a few years. Frank and I were going to do an episode on it. I don't think we ever did. Shocker was originally going to be a Quantum Leap type show where Pinker entered a new body every episode. Wow. A vote only the year 1990, not the decade, would be great. Exorcist 3, Misery, Night of the Living Dead, Remake, Tremors, Child's Play 2, Predator 2, and others. 90 is a far better year of horror than 89. Adam says, I voted, but it didn't register. I voted, but it didn't work. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I mean, it's not... maybe it would have affected where it... Yeah, there's a couple of things... going wrong with the tier maker site at the moment. Like the countdown isn't working. There's obviously some upgrade that needs to be done to it. But I might send them an email this week and see if they're aware of it. Okay. The next vote is for the Puppet Master. Okay, you have 88 seconds left to vote on Puppet Master. Released on October the 12th, 1989. Direct-to-video. A budget of $400,000. A critic score of 43%. An audience score of 45%. Directed by David Schmoller. Paul Lamont, William Hickey, Irene Miracle, Robin Freites. A group of psychics arrive at a seaside hotel once owned by a mysterious puppeteer whose creations, now alive, harbor deadly secrets. Let me just put that link in the chat again. Yeah, it might be an idea to just refresh your screen, folks, if you're having trouble voting. Produced by Charles Band's Full Moon Features, their first and most successful series, spawned over 10 sequels and spin-offs. Wow. I've seen the first one. I don't think I've seen anything else. 25 seconds left to vote. Stop motion animation was by David Allen Productions. Originally planned for a theatrical release by Paramount, but went to VHS instead and became a massive rental hit. The characters Blade, Pinhead, Tunneler, Leechwoman became Full Moon mascots. Vote is almost up on this one, folks. 6 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's over. And Puppet Master ends up third in the second tier. 4 of you voted it in first, 7 in second, 6 in third, 2 in fourth, and 1 in fifth. Cool. Yeah, more of you voted on that one. So it must have been a glitch on Shocker. I hope that hasn't ruined Shocker's chances. I'm pretty sure it hasn't, but yeah, interesting that only 9 of you could vote on that. Anyway, whatever happens, Shocker will not win overall, even if it went through. Okay, rented the hell out of Puppet Master, says Awesome50. Love this movie, and there are some cool stop motion effects. Puppet Master started me going through Full Moon's catalogue. Big mistake, because there's so much shite from that studio. And Andrew says, great straight-to-video rental here in the UK. Actually pretty decent for a Full Moon feature. Mad to think there are like 10 plus of these Puppet Master films, says Wraith. And Puppet Master isn't very good, but the deadly dolls in it are great. The puppets are cool, says Adam. And Puppet Master is great, so it's bad. It's so bad, it's good, says Nige. Okay, let's move on. We're now voting on Phantom of the Opera. Now, I did see this in the cinema. Directed by Dwight Little, I think, who did Halloween 4. Phantom of the Opera. Let me find my notes on that. So, yeah, it was Dwight H. Little. November the 3rd, 1989. A $4 million budget. A $4 million box office worldwide. Well done, Dwight. Critics score of 39%. A Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 46%. Robert Englund, Jill Schoelen, and Alex Hyde White, and the great Bill Nighy from the UK was in this as well. A darker, gorier retelling of the classic tale, blending Victorian horror with supernatural slasher tropes as a disfigured composer stalks a modern opera singer across centuries. Robert Englund filmed this between Elm Street 4 and 5, intended to launch a horror franchise reimagining literary monsters. The sequel, The Phantom of Manhattan, was scrapped, and the makeup took 4 hours daily to apply. Let me just see where we are. 28 seconds left to vote, folks. Filmed at England's Pinewood Studios and in Budapest, and Jill Schoelen later starred in The Stepfather and Popcorn, cementing her 80s Scream Queen status. Well, she didn't later star in it, unless she was in the remake. She would have starred in it before this. Okay, where are we? Are we nearly there? 6 seconds left to vote, folks. 3, 2, 1. And the vote is over. So, Phantom of the Opera finishes second. For only 14 of you voted. 4 of you in first, 2 of you in second, 6 in third, 1 in fourth, and 1 in fifth. Yeah, I saw it in the cinema when it came out. I don't remember it being that good. I've never seen it since. The little cinema that I worked at got a lot of this stuff. It was a little 4-screen cinema in Shipley in West Yorkshire. And along with Halloween 4, which we got in the early part of 1990, this was another film that we got, I think, in 1990 as well. Both by the same director. I really can't remember much about The Phantom of the Opera, and it's not one that I've cared to rent afterwards or, buy or anything. Really enjoy the first Puppet Master, says Colin, and the second one. Haven't watched it in years, must dig them out again. The Littlest Reich was a decent one also. I think it was part 9 or 10. Jesus Christ, Colin. How many of the Puppet Master movies are good, says Don Mac. Charles Band is the Lloyd Kaufman of Roger Corman, says Brandon. That's a great old backhanded compliment, that is. And also 50 says, saw Phantom in the cinema. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but Dwight Little is a solid director, so it's certainly not dull. As dreadful as Argento's version, I actually thought Tobe Hooper directed it. What, this one? No, it was Dwight Little. My only knowledge of this film is the Robert Englund doc. Okay. And what happened to Jill Schoelen? She was a decent actress, says Marisol. Jill Schoelen was a babe, says Brandon Collins. If she was president, her name would be Babraham Lincoln. What is that from? Is it like a Wayne's World quote or something? I think it is. Okay, let's move on to the next vote. I think it's Pet Sematary, but let's see. It is Pet Sematary. 88 seconds left to vote on Pet Sematary, folks. I'm going to put this in the chat here. I'm expecting this to go to the top. I think it should. It should be in the top tier somewhere, if not in the top 2, because I think it's a better movie than Society, which is in second place. April the 21st, 1989. Saw this in the cinema as well. I remember the cinema I worked at being funny about me watching this because I was only 16 at the time. A budget of 11.5 million, box office of 89.5 million. Huge hit. Directed by Mary Lambert, who was a music video director at the time. She directed quite a few Queensryche videos, if I remember rightly. Dale Midkiff, Denise Crosby, Fred Gwynn, and Miko Hughes. A young family moves to rural Maine and discovers a burial ground behind their new home that brings the dead back. At a terrible cost. Adapted from Stephen King's 1983 novel, King wrote the screenplay himself, filmed entirely in Maine, where King insisted production stay local. Let me just check the time there. 20 seconds left, folks. Fred Gwynn's Judd Crandall, Sometimes Dead is Better, became iconic, and the Ramones wrote and performed the title song. One of the best, most profitable King adaptations of the 80s. And it's in second place. It's not going to beat the Burbs, though. 4 seconds left, folks. 3, 2, 1. And the vote's over. So, how many of you voted for Pet Sematary? 22 of you voted it in first place. That's 61% of the vote. That was 36 of you. 7 in second place, 3 in third, 3 in fourth, and 1 of you voted it in fifth. Why would somebody vote this in fifth? God almighty. Pet Sematary is solid Stephen King fare. Church the cat rules. Less said about the remake, the better. You know what? I don't mind the remake. I think that the closing shot of that film is worth the price of the ticket for the movie. When the kid is in the car and the family are coming towards him and the cat just jumps on the bonnet. I think it's so creepy, that shot. I thought it was great. Film is fine, but I just thought that ending shot was just so, like, there's just no hope. And really, really unsettling moment. Tony Four Eyes makes a good point and says, how is there only one film in the bottom tier? Yeah, like I thought, honestly, there'd be a lot of mid to bottom tiers on this one. I think people have got shit in their eyes. I think that's what it is. There's too much shit here and people can't see. They're just like, actually, this piece of shit is better than that piece of shit, so I'm going to put it in the top. That's what's going on at the moment. There's so much naff rubbish in this in 1989 that people just don't know what to do. We're splitting hairs with everything. Actually, that scene's actually not that bad, so I'm going to put it at the top. Zelda Creeper creeped me the F out. Yeah, she was scary. She was scary. People are very forgiving, says Daz. Pet Sematary 2 with Edward Furlong is garbage. Never seen it. I have never watched it. Colin, never seen the remake. I think it's worth 90 minutes of your time. I think it's okay. Just thinking about that slice across Fred's ankle. Yeah. I brought you here to bury the... What is it? Ellen's cat or something like that? I can't remember. Just thinking about that slice across Fred's ankle is awful. Yes. Who did the effects in Pet Sematary now? Was it Jaeger or somebody like that? I can't remember, but there's some great effects in it. We're voting on which film is less awful than the others tonight. It is. This is us going through the motions, Rick. We need those top 2 titles, which at the moment are The Burbs and Pet Sematary. If anyone wants to see the best reaction video of this film, search You, Me, and the Movies Pet Sematary. The wife's reaction to Gage in the truck is visceral. Remake is definitely better than the second film. Seriously, who wants their dead wife back? So Pet Sematary 2 is worth a look, but just one look. Okay, enough Pet Sematary, folks. Let's move on. Let's see what we've got next. We have Leviathan. We're in the aquatic movies now. 3 big aquatic movies in 1989. The Abyss, Leviathan, Deep Star 6. 2 of them make this vote. This is the first one, Leviathan, directed by Cosmatos, was it? If I remember right, before I find my notes. I think George P. Cosmatos did this one. Yeah, he did. George P. Cosmatos, Peter Weller, Richard Crenna, Amanda Pays, Daniel Stern, and Ernie Hudson. March 17th, 1989. I think this was the first aquatic horror out of the gate. A budget of 25 million, a box office of 15.7 million, a critic score of 21%, an audience score of 35%. I actually prefer Deep Star 6, I must admit. I think that's the schlockier of the two and the more fun. This one tries to take itself so seriously. Deep sea miners discover a sunken Soviet vessel carrying a mysterious mutagen. Mutagen? When they bring it aboard, an aquatic mutation spreads through the crew one by one. Released the same year as The Abyss, Deep Star 6, making the underwater horror trilogy. Well, The Abyss is not really horror, is it? 14 seconds left, folks. Released, where are we now? Creature effects here were by Stan Winston Studios, combining puppetry and slime-heavy prosthetics. There we go. The vote is over on Leviathan. 2 of you voted it in first place. 5 of you voted it in second. 4 in third. 1 in fourth. And 2 in fifth. Filmed entirely on massive sound stages in Rome with an indoor water tank. The film's design borrowed heavily from Alien and The Thing, and its high budget and low return effectively ended Orion Pictures' big budget horror experiments. Okay, so what did you think about Leviathan? Let's have a look. Amanda Pays, end of comment. Says Myers fan. Leviathan was dull. Yeah, I always found it a bit dull as well. Leviathan is elevated by a good Jerry Goldsmith score. Otherwise, I find it a damp squib. Didn't the director of Pet Sematary direct American Psycho? I think that is right. I think, yes. I think you're right there. I really like Leviathan. Back then, I liked every Peter Weller movie, says Don Mac. And Leviathan is like a Thing ripoff underwater, but still really good. The Abyss is sci-fi, so I'm amazed it's not in here now, Tony. And Brandon Collins says, if I had known they'd made a movie about my ex-wife, I never would have married her. We're splitting hairs. Come on now. Did The Abyss have a murder in it? We're really clutching. The Abyss was never going to make it into this. We had the aliens in, and that was contentious. Was it Mary Harron who did American Psycho? Was it? I can't remember now. Okay, so Leviathan does finish 4th in the second tier. Let's kick off the next vote. We've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies to vote on, folks. We have Elm Street 5, Deep Star 6, Friday 8, Fright Night 2, Halloween 5, House 3, and Intruder. And I think Intruder is up next. It is. 85 seconds left to vote on Intruder, folks. Scott Spiegel, who sadly just passed away very recently, directed this movie. Jan 13, 1989. Only just qualifies to be a part of this, or else it would have been last year. A budget of just 130,000. Minimal theatrical gross. It's not really recorded. A critic score of 59%. An audience score of 56%. Elizabeth Cox, Dan Hicks, Renee Estevez, Sam Raimi, Ted Raimi, Bruce Campbell. They're all in there. All the kind of Raimi family. The night crew of a supermarket finds themselves trapped and slaughtered one by one as a mysterious killer in the store, by a mysterious killer in the store after hours. Co-written and directed by Evil Dead 2 co-writer Scott Spiegel, features Sam Raimi and Ted Raimi in supporting roles, plus a Bruce Campbell cameo. Produced by Lawrence Bender, who later made Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. Did he produce it? Okay, famous for creative object POV shots from inside phones, bags, and knives. Let me just check on this. 18 seconds left. Widely considered one of the last great 80s slashers and a video store cult favorite. It is. I mean, the bandsaw scene in this film is just insane. It was heavily cut in the UK as well, and you had to really search to find an uncut version from somewhere, around the world. Okay. Where are we? Intruder finishes 4th in the first tier. 18 of you voted, 7 in first place, 6 in second, 4 in third, and 1 of you voted it in 5th. I just recently got the was it Imprint that did the a really nice version box set. It's up there somewhere. It's a very nice box set. It was only Blu-ray though, no 4K. Okay, 7 more painful films to go. 6 now. Took me where are we now? Took me at least 2 years to get my hands on Intruder, having read all about it. Fangoria. When I got a VHS bootleg from the US, it didn't disappoint. Proper old school 80s slasher flick. Yeah, some great moments in it. Intruder is gory, but looked dated in 1989. Much more. It is a really cheap film. I don't know how long they took to shoot it. It was probably just like, 2 weeks in a supermarket overnight or something. Lawrence Bender produced all of Tarantino's, at least up to Inglourious Basterds. Yeah, I wasn't sure that he'd done Reservoir Dogs, though. It wasn't really till Scream that horror recovered fully from its slump. And why isn't the masterpiece Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, included on this list? Yeah, because that would have really put a fucking dent in things, wouldn't it? The cast of The Abuse will probably disagree with you about it not being a horror. Yeah, it was certainly a horror for them. And this is like trying to vote what is King of Shit Mountain. At least we can laugh. And at least there is still 65 of you watching this. At least we can have fun with this. That's the main thing. I really can't take this week too seriously. It's just getting through this and churning those 2 movies out of this mess. That's all we're here for. And then next week will be a really special week. And I'm going to do something a little different next week because I've already read out all the synopsises and the stats for each film. What I thought we might do is, while you're voting, run the trailers, those old trailers for them. And do it that way. So we'll see anyway. We'll see how things go. Okay, let's start the next vote. Where are we now? House 3, the horror show. Obviously, just called the horror show in the US. I think it was maybe just the UK that called it House 3, made it part of that franchise for some reason. April 28th, 1989. A budget of $3 million, a box office of $1.7 million, a critic score of 11%, 22% with the audience. James Isaac directed, Lance Henriksen, Brian James, Rita Taggart. Detective Lucas McCarthy is haunted by the electrocuted serial killer he captured, who returns as a malevolent spirit bent on vengeance within McCarthy's home. Marketed in Europe as House 3 to cash in on the series name. Features gruesome effects supervised by Sean Cunningham's team. Critics dismissed it as a mashup of Shocker and Nightmare on Elm Street. Its tone is much darker and less comedic than House 1 or 2. And Lance Henriksen's performance remains a highlight for fans. 39 seconds left to vote, folks. I didn't mind this when it came out. I honestly didn't. Movie Chat and More says, only my super chats are being seen in the chat. Did you put some more super chats in there? I have read some of yours out. Yeah, the last one was, you keep a horse in the basement. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, House 3, the horror show, finished second in third place, sandwiched in between Sleepaway Camp 3 and Phantom of the Opera. 2 of you voted in first place, 4 in second, 6 in third, nobody in fourth, and 4 in fifth. Only 16 of you voted on that one, so probably not as widely seen as maybe it was in the UK. Myers fan Andrew says the horror show is great. Max Jenke when getting electrocuted. All that did was give me a hard on. Where else would we get such a class? I forgot about that line when they first electrocute him and he doesn't die. All that did was give me a hard on. And he starts getting up and walking around, doesn't he, with his skin's boiling and everything. It's great fun. There were like 3 or 4 of these types of movies. So we had House 3, we had Shocker, we had, I think there was one called The Chair, and there was also Prison. Do you remember the Kane Hodder one, Prison? All very similar themes that came out in the sort of mid to late 80s. But yeah, just those two, I think, Shocker and the horror show that came out in 1989. Tony Four says, Darren, you have to admire our dedication for sitting through this. Listen, we're a community here. We pull together when times are tough. 71 of you are still watching this nonsense, all these terrible films that have been voted upon. Andrew says, this has been great. The shitter the titles, the bigger the laughs. Need to be careful as I'm bursting for the toilet. Don Mac says, horror became too snarky and self-referential after Scream. It was so much better before that happened. Prison was decent, says Tony. Prison, made by Rennie Harlin, I think you mean, Daz, not Harmon. Yeah, you corrected it. Yeah. I've never shoveled shit uphill before. It's fun, weirdly. It is kind of like that. House 3 and Shocker are very similar. First Power as well in 1990, says Wraith. Okay, I haven't seen that one. And Zara says, I think Hara. I think Ara. What am I saying? Arrow have a box set of those House films. They do. I never bought them though because I only really go back to the first one. In all honesty, everyone loves negativity, says Adam, and Gina says, I can't vote. It won't let me. Well, you can't at the moment because the vote's frozen. But I'll put the link in there for you, Gina. And when it starts again, which I think we'll do right now, it's Halloween 5. Let's vote on Halloween 5. 87 seconds left. Okay. October the 13th, 1989, directed by Dominic Athenian Gerard. A 5 million budget, 11.6 million at the box office, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 14% with the critics and 37% with the audience. Donald Pleasance, Daniel Harris, Ellie Cornell, Bo Starr. A year after the events of Halloween 4, a comatose Michael Myers awakens and again hunts his niece Jamie, whose psychic bond with him provides terrifying visions. Shot back-to-back with Halloween. It wasn't shot back-to-back with Halloween. Where do you get this nonsense? With Halloween 4 success in mind, but underperformed. It wasn't shot back-to-back. There was a gap between the shooting. Introduced the mysterious Man in Black subplot, never explained until Halloween 6. And director Athenian Gerard was only 31 and hired for his European visual style. Daniel Harris was just 12 during filming, and the house was actually a Victorian mansion in Salt Lake City, a continuity departure from the previous film's look. 22 seconds left, folks. Halloween 5 is in first place, in 5th position, and it's now jumped right the way up to third place on the first tier. It's gone back down again. It's jumping between first and last place. That is bizarre. Everybody is voting it either the worst film or the best film. It finished. Okay, this is bizarre. 12 of you voted it in first place. 13 of you voted it in 5th place. And so it finishes because 5th place had more votes than first place. It finishes the top of the 5th tier. That was the most extraordinary vote. 40 of you voted on that. And because the vote for the top and the bottom tier was so strong, it bounced between 1st and 5th tier. It was almost in with a shot of winning. If a few more votes had gone in its direction, it could have been in 2nd place. Actually, it probably wouldn't have done because 22 of you voted Pet Sematary in 2nd place here. Society had 12 votes. And it was bouncing around 3rd place in the 1st tier. That I've never seen a vote do that. I've never seen such a split vote before where so many of you vote something in the top and at the bottom at the same time. As it happens, it finishes first in the 5th tier. That was bizarre. That was weird watching that. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. I'll just put that back there. In total, 40 of you voted on that, folks. 12 of you in 1st, 2 of you in 2nd, 3rd of you in 7th. sorry, 7 of you in third, 6 of you in fourth, and 13 of you voted it in fifth. Extraordinary vote. Ray says I need to say ARA every time I watch their films now. I don't know why I was saying ARA is what ARAs is darts, right? It's a northern way of saying darts. Hey, little Michael Myers, says Chester. I had to vote H5 top tier to try and get rid of some of this shit at the top. Okay, Halloween 5 straight to the top, says Kingslayer. Brandon says I have a very strong sentimental attachment to this film. For that reason, I'm voting in the top tier against my better judgment. Why not? Gotta love Michael body surfing. He does. It's like a log flume at the start of that film. Halloween 5, such nostalgic memories. Still love it. Daniel Harris is excellent, and Pleasance is completely Looney Tunes as Loomis. Drunk Loomis is legendary. I got a soft spot for Halloween 5, says Reese, but it belongs in fourth place. For nostalgic reasons, I like Halloween 5, but can't go above mid, says Daz. YNWA 1974 says if it wasn't for the Thorn, this would be up there with Halloween 4 and H2O. Halloween 5 has some good visuals, but more often than not, I was left wondering if the director had ever even watched any of the earlier Halloween films. The First Power is Lou Diamond Phillips and pretty good. Check it out, Darren. Okay. Thank you, Gina. Halloween 5 with the Clown Cops, Cookie Woman. First Power does ring a bell. It does ring a bell. Halloween 5 with the Clown Cops, Cookie Woman, and Donna Shanks crying. Yeah. Hey, Darren, what do you think of the Shout Scream Factory situation? Yeah, that's kind of odd, isn't it? Grub, whatever it is now. Look, if they were in trouble and they've been bailed out, at least they've been bailed out. We'll still probably get that content. The voting is fucked, says Tony. Junkie Geordie says it won't let me vote for anything. There must be something wrong there. I would try a different browser, Gina. The score by Alan Howarth was good for Halloween 5. The opening credits was fantastic. Loomis killed it. Yeah, I saw him play some of Halloween 5 live a couple of weeks ago, Chester. And really, as I said the other week, the really sad thing was that at the end of his set, he had to pack away his own kit, which was really awful to watch, the poor sod. He's 77 years old. Like undoing all his jack cables. Calling shenanigans, says Mr. Bright. I bought Halloween 5 X rental and it was not cheap. And Darren, I felt the same as you did after spending your hard-earned cash on Jason Takes Manhattan. Absolute shite. Marisol says, what? That's insane. We love to hate this movie, but it deserved more love. Yeah, I don't mind Halloween 5. Look, it's not a great movie, but it is one that I can watch now and again. I just turn to it because Donald Pleasance is in it. And maybe because Daniel Harris is in it. As extraordinary as Dominic's directorial choices, says Jordan. Brandon says, I now have 13 enemies. And Tony Forey says, me too, Myers fan. Oh, you're talking about the X rental. Bought mine from Virgin for £25. Wow. It's not quite what I paid for Friday, but never mind. It's a level with the most votes, not an average of all voters. Okay, now I get why your results are sometimes bonkers. It's the level, yes, exactly, yeah. It does take there is an average vote section, but the most votes section is more accurate. Even though this has been like trying to pick between Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile to come and babysit, I've really enjoyed and feel closer to you all having gone through it. Is there a correlation between me commenting and you defaulted into a northern accent? Go on, say it, Aaron, again. There you go. Dave McRae must be logged into 13 different devices, says Brandon. And John says 88 films have First Power in their slasher collection. Okay, I'll check that out. Thank you, Jordan. Right. What are you talking about, the First Power there? It rings a bell. Maybe I've seen it. I mean, come on. I've seen a lot of films over the years. There was... Thank you for the super chat, Brandon, by the way. Thank you. Okay, let's kick off the next vote. We have Fright Night 2. 85 seconds left on Fright Night 2, folks. The vote is live. May the 19th, 1989, budget of 7 million. Box office of 2.9, critic score of 36% with an audience score of 41%. Tommy Lee Wallace directing, obviously. Roddy McDowall, William Ragsdale, Tracy Lind, Julia Carmen, and Brian Thompson. Charlie Brewster believes his vampire ordeal is over until Regine Dandridge, sister of his former enemy, arrives seeking revenge and New Fangs Out parties. A New Fangs Out party begins. Julie Carmen's Regine was originally conceived as a male villain. Director Wallace, who did Halloween 3, took over from Tom Holland. And a limited release and Vestron's collapse killed box office potential. Many fans consider its makeup effects and gothic style underrated, and it became a sought-after VHS rental due to scarcity of prints. Okay, where are we now with this? Is Fright Night doing two? Fright Night 2's currently in the second tier. 9 seconds left, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vote is over. And where did we finish? First in the second tier. Not bad. I thought it might actually do slightly better. I thought we'd have been at the back end of the first tier because I know it's got a lot of fans. I'm not a huge fan. I think it's okay. I don't think it's a patch on the original, but I know it does have quite a fan base. Let's all vote Jason in the first tier to give Darren the shits. Thank you, Darren. Halloween 5 next to Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 is criminal. It is. That's it. Got a lot of negative votes. The First Power is a cracking little movie. Love The First Power, says Colin. Look at all this First Power love. Friday Night 2 is really underrated. Loved seeing it on its original cinema release. Poor Tommy Lee Wallace never got a fair shake. He didn't. That's probably true. I just remember Tommy Lee Wallace saying that the Menendez brothers murdered my movie. Yeah, there's a link to all that, isn't there? Fright Night Part 2 is a good sequel, but pales compared to the original. I bought Halloween 5X rental for $5 on VHS years ago, says Gina. We really need a special edition 4K Blu-ray of Fright Night 2. I'm sure it'll come eventually. Fright Night 2 could never come close to the perfection of the first one. Only ever seen it on VHS and can honestly say it wasn't memorable enough to ever chase it down again. Yeah, I bought a Blu-ray of it a year or two ago when Frank and I did an episode on it. I haven't gone back to it, but yeah, I do remember watching the extras and there being a link to the Menendez brothers and Friday Night 2. Were they working? Were they funding or something like that? I can't remember the actual story now, but yeah, there's definitely a link there. Their dad was that's right. Their dad was a movie producer or something. Yeah, it was something like that. Their dad was an executive at Live Entertainment. Yeah. Yeah, also it's coming back now. Friday Night 2 is fun. I love the werewolf dude. I think he's a werewolf. Been so long. Yeah, I think he was. Was that him on the skates? Somebody was on skates in this. I remember that. Okay, let's move on to the next vote. We have 3 left to go. What are we looking at? Jason Takes Manhattan. Okay, do your stuff. Let me know where this one belongs. July the 28th, 1989, a budget of 5 million, a box office of 14.3 million, 14.3 million and 89 pounds, critic score of 11%, an audience score of 24%, directed by Rob Hedden, Kane Hodder, Jensen Daggett, Scott Reeves, Peter Mark Richmond, and Charlene Martin. Jason Voorhees hitches a ride on a graduation cruise ship headed for New York City and leaves a bloody trail from Crystal Lake to Times Square. Only 20 minutes take place in actual New York City. Most was shot in Vancouver and on a boat. Paramount's last Friday the 13th film before New Line took over. The Times Square sequence was shot at 1 a.m. under tight permit restrictions. Let me just see how we're doing for time. 27 seconds, folks. Hedden's original script featured Madison Square Garden and the Brooklyn Bridge, but budget cuts stopped that. Now enjoyed as a camp fun for its MTV era neon and absurd premise. Okay. We are in the bottom. We're on 3, 2, 1. Vote is over, folks. Right. So, yeah, look at that. That had more. Let's have a look at that. Yeah. So just examining the scores between 36 of you voted for this, 8 of you in first place, 2 in second, 10 in third, 3 in fourth, and 13 of you in fifth. The same amount of people that voted Halloween in fifth. But I can see that just as many people voted it in third and fourth. However, Friday the 13th had more votes in third, which means it finishes slightly ahead of Halloween 5, but still in the last tier. God, the big three did indeed lay an egg, didn't they? Look at that. That's hilarious. Okay, so where am I thought one of these big three movies would finish in the first tier. At the moment, the Burbs and Pet Sematary are going through. I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going through. There's 2 movies left. We've got Elm Street 5. We've got Deep Star 6, which I like a lot, Deep Star 6, but it's not good enough to beat Pet Sematary or the Burbs. But weirder things have happened today. Okay, let's see what's going on. Friday night will always be the best, but I still love it, says Maya's #1 fan. Tony 4i says, never knew about that link. Scary stuff. Yeah, Tommy, like this is before, I learned about this before the TV show that happened recently, before that Netflix TV show. And it's on the extras for Fright Night. Tommy Lee Wallace talks about the fact that that case, that incident ruined the release of Fright Night. Fright Night 2 was good, but the first one is more enjoyable for me, says Chester. Top tier all day long, worth every penny, Darren. Is it Friday the 13th? Let's just give Darren some justice here, as it really is a load of shite and the killer of the franchise for many years following. The werewolf in Friday Night 2 is the werewolf in Monster Squad. Really? Is it the same guy? Okay. Really? Okay, Friday the 13th Part 8 sucks, but has too much repeat value to be bottom tier, says Don Mac. Jason Takes Vancouver is just pure nostalgia for me. As soon as the darkest side of the night starts, I'm in and love the ride. Yeah, that song at the start is great fun. Jason Takes Manhattan was the 4th consecutive film with a disappointing box office performance, which was a key reason for Paramount to sell the franchise rights. Absolutely. Jason Takes a Boat Trip, says Rick. Kingslayer says, I'll say one good thing for Jason Takes Manhattan. It's not as awful as Jason Goes to Hell. True. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes the Love Boat. I'm Friday Mark, but can't vote this at the top. How can you guys prefer this over Halloween 5? That's just the way the vote went. Remember seeing the trailer on America's Top 10 and going crazy for it? Me too. Tony Four Eyes, America's Top 10, and was it Cinema Attractions? 2:30 in the morning on like a Wednesday. It was the only in for watching American trailers. I had to tape it every week with Summertime Steve March, the presenter. Fantastic. That and America's Top 10 were where I got all my kind of music fixes as well. Say what you want, but that Love New York poster is iconic. Yes, it's great. It really is. The trailer, the teaser was good, with him kind of stood looking over Manhattan, and was it Frank Sinatra music over the top of it? Michael Strong says, can't imagine anyone buying this shite. This voting still seems weird how they fit in with each tier overall. Yeah, it's all down to, the number of clean votes that you get in any one category, I think. You can do it on average votes, but it just doesn't, it's not as, it's not as, what's the word now? It doesn't feel as reliable. The big three didn't lay an egg. They shat it. It's physical meat. God. Menendez was murdered the same day he met with Wallace and McDowell to discuss the film's marketing, apparently. Wow. Okay. The only thing I like about Part 8 is the darkest side of the night. Great song and fantastic opening shot of New York. And Kingslayer says, America's Top 10, man. that brings back memories. Yeah, and Cinema Attractions. You can still watch Cinema Attractions on YouTube. There's old episodes that are on there. Okay, let's kick off. What have we got? The vote is live now for Deep Star 6. 89 seconds on Deep Star 6 remaining, folks. Directed by Sean S. Cunningham. January the 13th, 1980. Oh, so this did come out before Leviathan. I thought Leviathan came out. Okay, this came out first. So these two movies came out within the space of... Where's the Leviathan notes? H-I-J-K, Leviathan. Yeah, within 2 months of each other. An 8.5 million budget. 8.14 million domestic box office. 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. Taurine Black, Nancy Everard, Greg Evigan, Miguel Ferrer starred in this. The crew of an underwater military outpost, Deep Star 6, encounters a giant sea monster while on a mission. As the base is attacked and cut off, the team must survive the deadly creature and their own fears. I saw this on VHS. I don't remember that it had a cinema release in the UK. The film was part of an early surge of underwater horror sci-fi films around 89-90. Production included underwater tank shoots in Malta, and despite its budget, the film barely broke even, a commercial disappointment. It's often discussed in horror forums for its creature feature charm, despite weak critical reception, and Sean S. Cunningham is better known for directing Friday the 13th before taking on this underwater monster project. I do remember some guy getting ripped in half in it. Okay. So, Deep Star 6 finishes 4th on the second tier. Pretty good. Let me just see how many people... 17 voters. 2 in first place. 8 in second. 4 in third. 0 in fourth. And 3 in fifth. All right. Let's see what people thought of Deep Star 6 here. I always thought it was an average rate. How has this come out in 89? How do you mean, Tony? Anyway, we'll move on. The more I hear about these brothers, the more I think they weren't good guys, says Daz. Opting out again as I can't ever remember seeing Deep Star 6. It's worth a watch, Andrew. If you get the chance to watch it, it's like literally like 80 minutes or something like that. And it has some really cool little effect sequences in it. Deep Star 6 is slang for the third input. Always thought Deep Star 6 was watchable, average. Yeah, I did as well. I always kind of enjoyed it back in the early 90s when it first hit video here. I watched Back to the Future in the cinema last week, says Daz. And this poster is reminding me of Marty's radioactive suit. Yeah, that's the big deep sea diver outfit in it. Everyone voted for Nightmare 5 in first place. I remember seeing the Guild VHS cover everywhere. I do as well, those big boxes that Guild did. A little wet there. My Ciroc and Coke. Okay. Final vote, folks. The final vote. What time are we on? 10 to 12. It's Elm Street 5. And it's live. Go for it. 85 seconds left to vote. One of the weakest in the franchise. Are you going to treat it like you did Halloween and Friday the 13th? It's currently in last place overall. Wow. Where are we now with my notes? Okay, Stephen, I think was it Stephen Hopkins who directed this? I've lost my notes here. Stephen Hopkins, yeah. Released on August the 11th, 1989. A budget of 8 million, 22.17 million at the box office. Stephen Hopkins obviously went on to do... What did he do after this? Predator, wasn't it? Predator 2, I think, if I remember right. Was it Predator 2? I think so. Didn't do The Ghost in the Darkness as well, if I remember right. The series continues. This entry was... sorry, where were we now? Oh, Robert Englund, Lisa Wilcox, among others. Freddy Krueger once again haunts the dreams of the living, this time targeting the unborn child of Alice, survivor of the previous film, unleashing new nightmares and merging dream and reality. It was the first in the series to deal with the unborn child of the final girl protagonist. Despite a modest budget for the franchise, its box office was lower than its predecessor, so it marked a downturn. The title emphasizes Dream series motif Dream Master / Dream Child. And the production used many surreal dream sequences and nightmare logic visuals. It continues to have a cult following among slasher fans despite mixed critical reception. Voting is now closed. It's over. Look at that. 8 of you voted it in first place, 1 of you in second, 5 of you in third, 5 of you in fourth, and 15 of you voted it in in last place. So it finishes first in 5th. Incredible. It's all over. Thank you so much for joining, folks, for that. We'll go through everything in a second. I just want to catch my breath. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this last 10 weeks. Every Thursday, sitting down with you all to talk some great movies, some absolute awful movies, and have you vote on them. I mean, vote-wise, I would imagine we're somewhere in the region of 5,000 to 6,000 votes that have been cast over the last 10 weeks for this, and I really appreciate it. I really do. It's going to be a lot of fun next week doing that final. Before we take a look at all the movies that are in the final, let's just have a look at how this ended. So, in first place, we have The Burbs. In second place, we have Pet Sematary. Society was in third place, Intruder in fourth, and Wes Craven's Shocker in fifth. Sixth place saw Fright Night 2, The Fly 2 in seventh, Stepfather 2 in eighth, Deep Star 6 in ninth, Puppet Master in 10th, and George P. Cosmatos' Leviathan is in 11th place. 12th place, we have Sleepaway Camp 3, House 3 in 13th place. 14th place, we have Phantom of the Opera. 15th place, Toxic Avenger 2. 16th place, 976 Evil. 17th, we have Elm Street 5. Friday the 13th Part 8 in 18th place. Halloween 5 in 19th place. And finishing last, we have Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. It was the sheer number of people that voted the likes of Elm Street 5, Friday 8, and Halloween 5 in last place that put them in that tier. The vote was fairly split, but there were just so many people that thought it was worthy of being in the bottom tier that it just tipped the balance. So, yeah, those big three movies don't get a look in. I'm surprised. And you did see them bouncing between top and bottom. Okay, so let's move over to this stream here, this screen here. Let's have a look at some of the chat first as well before we continue. Nightmare 5 is far from the weakest in the franchise. Great direction from Hopkins, and I find this to be my third favorite in the series after 1 and 3. I'm looking forward to seeing that new version that's out there. The director's cut. I've got the box set down here, up there somewhere. It's over there, I think. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the differences are with that uncut bike sequence, because that's one of the best kills in the franchise. It's a great moment in essentially is a fairly poor film. Frank's a fan of this one. He does like the Dream Child. A reminder why I didn't invest in the Elm Street box set. Everything after the third is bang average at best, says Alan. I hate Nightmare 5. I prefer Freddy's Dead to this shite, and the kid was annoying as hell, says Kingslayer. Elm Street 5 is a twisted barrage of cinematic diarrhea, says Rick. I found Nightmare 5 looked stylish and the effects were pretty good. And Tony 4i says, how the hell did we get through that? We did. We got through it, and thanks to all of you for humoring me with this, because it was a bitch of a week. It really was. This is probably the only time Nightmare would beat the other two slasher franchises, says Daz. Yeah, that's an interesting one, which I think I watch Halloween 5 more than Nightmare 5, but in terms of the quality of the film, I think it's probably a better made movie, is Elm Street 5. And that's not saying much, because the three of them are all pretty poorly made. Myers fan Andrew says, absolutely terrible year for horror. However, I reckon we've made up for it with the laughs tonight. Good. I'm glad you've enjoyed yourself. Marisol says it's been great fun and we appreciate all of your hard work. No problem. No problem. I can't wait to get to the final next week. I'm really looking forward to it. And I think we should have some fun during the week. I'm actually thinking about going live in between just to kind of just chat with you guys properly rather than, you know, do this, all this stuff, you know, controlling and everything. Let's all give Darren a round of applause. It's a great 10-part series. This was a lot of work to put together, and the man even got injured during it. Thank you, Brandon. That's really kind of you. Alan says, Darren, really hope you enjoy Frankenstein. All I can say is I saw it 3 times in the cinema, so draw your conclusions from that. That's amazing. Let me know how you get on. Definitely. I'll be watching it tomorrow for sure. Awesome 50 says, great stuff, Darren. Well done on a terrific series. Can't wait for the final. Andrew says, yeah, well done, Darren. Definitely worth the effort you've put in to make it happen. And can't believe you still managed a 2-hour live with that pile of dog turd. Fair play. Had to be done. We have to, you take the rough with the smooth with this. And it was a rough year. Shit films, but a good laugh, says Tony. This was a lot of fun. Can't wait for the finals next week, says Chester. And Jordan says, glad to have made one down. Hopefully not the last. Hardest working man on YouTube. Thank you. I know there's people out there that work harder than I do. I know that for sure. Beat Strictly Come Dancing for sure. Thanks, Darren. Okay, let's have a look at the finalists. Okay. Let me pull this up. So, we have The Fog from 1980, along with The Shining that finished in second place in 1980. We also have Halloween 2 and American Werewolf. Both, Halloween 2 finished first. American Werewolf finished second in 1981. Finishing first in 1982 was The Thing, with Creepshow finishing 1982 in second place. Psycho 2 finished 1983 in first place, and Michael Jackson's Thriller was the runner-up there, also in 1983. Friday the 13th, the final chapter in 1984 was first, followed by Elm Street, which was in second place and qualifies as well. Want a second? Fright Night won 1985, with Return of the Living Dead being the runner-up that year, and Aliens and The Fly dominated 1986. Evil Dead 2 finished first in 1987, and The Lost Boys finished second in 1987, so that also goes through as well. Halloween 4 finished first in 1988, with Child's Play finishing second in 1988. And then just this evening, we had The Burbs in first place and Pet Sematary finishing in second place. I think that's about right. I really do. I think that is probably right that those two are in the top there. They're definitely better movies than any of those big 3 movies that came out that year. Certainly better than Intruder and Shocker. Society, I don't know. I've got a lot of love for Society, but I think I agree with what you guys have chosen there. I'm happy with the Burbs and Pet Sematary going through. So that's it. That's 1989. Finals next week. And like I said, I'm going to shake it up a little bit. You don't need me to hear me go through Rotten Tomato scores and directors and all that kind of stuff. We know all that from the last 10 weeks. I think I might try and get some like really some cool TV spots or trailers or something to play while we do the vote and just remind ourselves of those movies. As for who's going to win, I've no idea. I mean, looking at it again, I would think that possibly I think Aliens or The Thing maybe might win it. Maybe Friday 4. I don't know. It'd be interesting. What will be interesting to see if any of the movies that finished in second place in these particular years do better in the final. A lot to consider. Okay. Again, thank you folks for joining me this evening. It's been a lot of fun. I can't do this without you, and to have so many of you tuning in is just fantastic. I really do enjoy doing this, and it's great to see so many of you in the chat. A great little community we've got going on here, and hopefully in 2 weeks' time when I start the new show, you guys will all tune in and enjoy that as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah, I can't wait to get started on that. But we got the final first next Friday, 10 o'clock UK time, 5 o'clock Eastern. See you there.